Hey guys, welcome to another episode of TLG Vlogs, and we're gonna talk today about how I handle anxiety. Probably one of the topics that's really under talked about in our industry and in a lot of ways, especially I feel like as a male presence, a lot of people don't wanna talk about anxiety, they wanna hide from it. I'm gonna tell you how I deal with it, how maybe some of my colleagues deal with it, and working professionals, and hopefully give you guys some good advice. Let's get started. All right, so anxiety is such a interesting topic because unfortunately and fortunately, it does vary from person to person, and how somebody deals with it is completely different. Me personally, I'm a very jump in the fire type of person. Anxiety comes from so many different angles, right? It can come from family elements, friend elements, work elements, whatever. And it sometimes could feel like if so much is happening all at once, it feels like you're being caved in on, and it feels like you're not able to operate, and it feels like you're not able to breathe, and you just want to just break out of your skin and just run. With the level of service that we do in our industry, especially real estate, if you're a real estate agent or a broker looking to get into the business, at times it could be a very, very high stress level job, especially the more business you're doing, or maybe the different price points you're dealing with. We say this all the time. For a lot of people, buying and selling real estate is the biggest financial investment they may ever make in their entire lives. And because of that, it comes with a lot of pressure. It comes with a lot of emotions. It comes with a lot of feelings. And sometimes you, the agent, become the punching bag. You become the therapist. You become the listener. You just kind of wear a lot of different hats through that transaction process. For me, probably the highest level of anxiety and what I would say pressures me the most is definitely work. All off of what I just said, you feel like you have the world on your shoulders. And it feels like the more you let it build up, for me, the worse it gets. So a lot of times I like to tackle something. You'll hear me say it to my team all the time. If something's pending, I truly like to tackle it right away. I hate going to bed, letting something sit and dealing with it in the morning. I try not to necessarily dwell on something too long. I try to get after it as quickly as possible. I try to put myself in, somebody else's shoes, or try to look at the situation on different angles, and I look just to attack it. And that's always worked for me because I feel like I'm one of those people, if it sits, it gets worse. I know other people that just need to open a window and just breathe, right? They don't want to deal with it right now, they want to deal with it tomorrow. I feel like no matter what it is and no matter what you're dealing with, you have to find a healthy outlet. I think that's crucial no matter what. Unfortunately, a lot of people find unhealthy ways of dealing with anxiety and dealing with stress. That could relate from going out to drinking to drugs or whatever it really could be. Those unhealthy outlets generally temporarily may give somebody a little bit of a boost, but in the long run, we all probably know it's hurtful to your self needs, to your mental needs, to your health, the whole nine. When we were kind of developing this topic for this week's vlog, one could say it's probably a little bit of a controversial topic, just solely because it's, as I started the video saying, especially for a male, I feel like a lot of times stress and anxiety is really, really not talked about much. As a guy, or maybe as a leader, or if you run a business or you're an entrepreneur, you want to appear that everything's good and everything's going right and everything's strong, and you're the face of the pack. The reality is everybody deals with something. You're always going to deal with some level of stress. You're always going to deal with some level of anxiety, and your outlets, as I was just saying, are just so crucial for your growth, no matter what it is. For me, the whole not letting build up is pivotal, I would say, because it's just so easy to get derailed, right? And when everything's going wrong, you feel like it's like this weird circle of the universe just trying to get you all at once, right? I get a call that a deal goes south, or there's a problem, and I'm tied up on the phone with somebody dealing with the problem. While that's happening, I'm getting an email from somebody else on another deal where something's necessarily I have to handle right now. Well, then somebody texted me, and then I'm getting a notification, and your mind just automatically wants to just grab each problem and try to do it. And sometimes that can kind of feel like that caving in, that pressureful feeling. So what's important is to be organized. What's important is to be structured. My flow has kind of always really been the same. It's try not to let the head hit the pillow until you've accomplished everything that you've needed to do. Sometimes you have to, don't be afraid to tell somebody that hey, listen, understand, say, hey, it's okay. I understand what you're dealing with is a big thing, Give me 20 minutes. I promise you'll have my full attention in 20 minutes. And when I do, we're gonna get through this together and we're gonna accomplish this, whatever it may be. Sometimes it's important to vocalize. It's important to communicate with other people. Know that your internal thoughts and your internal feelings around what you're dealing with is internal. You can't expect somebody else around you to understand why you're dealing with what you're dealing with, because it's so internal and they don't really see all the variables which cause you to feel the way you are. So it's important to vocalize to the people around you why you're feeling how you are, to try and maybe, like, you know, as I'm saying, if you feel like a lot of things are all happening at once, to try to like stretch out that timeline a little bit so you have the ability to kind of like put your full focus on it and handle. I feel like that's the biggest thing. It's, you know, organizing it, it's structuring it, it's tasking it all out, breaking it out, because a lot of times, like, when so much is happening, you just automatically like circle it all into one big problem. But in reality, they're all like separate little issues, right? And just like putting it out, like, all right, I gotta handle this, then the next thing I wanna handle is this, the next thing I wanna handle is this, and just communicate with the people in the timeline, because then usually more often than not, people understand. I'm gonna give you guys 2 takeaways of something that's, I would say, has improved my mental being when it came to work, relationships, people, situations, whatever it may be. Takeaway number 1 is, no matter what the severity of a situation is, everything is solvable. Everything has a resolution. When you're going through something immediately, I think it's really important to self-check that and know that going into whatever the problem is. Of course, in that moment, you feel like the world's ending and things are so bad and you can't believe that we're here and you see no end at the end of the tunnel. Know that there is a resolution to everything. And if you go into anything, any situation, any argument, any problem, knowing that, seeing that resolution at the end is so important and so crucial. And just kind of structuring things out, laying it out on the table, looking at it from different angles, wrapping your head around the situation and trying to come up with different ways of attacking it, really just helps you get through that a lot quicker. And number 2, sometimes things just don't make sense. No matter how much you want to rationalize with something, no matter how much you want to try to understand why somebody did you wrong or a situation was not in your favor or you ended up with the short end of the stick, I have a saying: don't rationalize with unrational people or unrational situations. You're wasting your time. I've found myself in many a times trying to think about why somebody would do that. Why would somebody do that to me? Or why would a situation like that happen to me? Why me? Why me? Sometimes it's not really you. And the more you spend wondering why that happened, you're just investing so much good energy into a bad situation that sometimes doesn't make sense. This topic was stressful to make on the name of the topic because there's so many different ways to look at this. Everyone has so many different ways of handling this stuff. I hope the takeaways were: vocalize how you're feeling, look at every single problem that there is a solution, and really don't try to invest too much good energy into a bad situation that you try to reason with. Tell us how you handle with it. I always think there's so many valuable tips. It's such a powerful topic. It's something that really sometimes could derail such a positive person, could derail such a great business person or entrepreneur or anything, and it could kind of become the wedge of your success or the wedge of your accomplishments. So tell us, comment, message us. How do you deal with a bad situation? How do you deal with a bad relationship? How do you deal with when something catastrophic happens at work? What is your outlet? What is your method? And as always, guys, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of TLG Vlogs, and see you guys next week. Bye.